Hello, this is Jcamera here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Crash Bandicoot Resaurus action figure of Series 2 Dr. Nefarious Tropy, or Entropy. And here he is. Like many of the action figures, I got him used, secondhand, and again, this figure is so I said in the engine video that there would be more expensive figures than him with Dingadal and Entropy, but I was wrong when I said that. Engine is, at least so far, the most expensive. Entropy and Dingadile are actually cheaper, surprisingly. But anyway, here he is. This is what he would look like, roughly, with the bubble. The tuning fork would actually be separate, and it would just be here in the box, but you still get the same idea. And now if we move the accessories out of the way, we shall take a look at the packaging. So here is the cardboard box. So on here, you would have a normal sized bubble like every Crash and Coco action figure and Cortex from Series 1. And he'll just have his name on top of here, like every other character on the inside for Series 2, on the outside for Series 1. So we got the Crash Bandicoot logo with the spiral in there. It says action figures here. Crash is being fired from a rocket, or by a rocket from Earth, probably from Cortex Castle if Series 1 is anything to go by. It says Series 2 here, which I'll admit I did miss a few times, but when I finally got it and began to see it, you can't unsee it. We got the Resaurus logo and the website advertised. You have Series 2, again written there in text as well as numbers. The warning choking hazard, as usual, so little infants can't choke on the small pieces. Ages 5 and up. And this aesthetic is like bubbles and, I don't know, elements, random codes, all that. Kind of like it's trying to represent what Warped is about, I guess, of the levels and all that, which I guess makes sense, and the tone, which sure. Because Warped is a bit more colorful and wacky than the first two PS1 games, so I guess it makes sense. And it fits Warped perfectly, even though Series 1 looks a lot cooler to me with the dark 90s style of it all, Cortex Castle and all that. But anyway, here's the back of the box. Again, that spiral logo with the Crash Bandicoot logo. And then you have like promotional art of Crash Bandicoot on there. You have the Resaurus logo and website advertised here. Series 2 written down. The barcode and like, again, the website written for a second time. Other text. Universal logo and the website because at the time they owned Crash Bandicoot, even though Naughty Dog created the IP. And then it says, collect the entire Crash Bandicoot action figure series, which shows all the Series 2 figures, as well as Series 1. And then, yeah, it says, be sure to check out these other exciting Resaurus action figures. The non-related Crash Bandicoot lines include 10th, Speed Racer, and Gex. Gex never came out, even though I'm pretty sure it was shown and even prototyped, but they never came out, and they all released the same year, 1999. Because this wave is meant to be around Crash Bandicoot Warped. I forgot to mention this at the start. Because the game came out in 1998, and then a year later they would release the figures, because Series 1 was based on Crash Bandicoot 2, which came out... You get the idea, but anyway... We have Jetpack Crash, Jetboard Crash, Coco Bandicoot, Kimono Mo, Dr. Neo Cortex, and Tiny Tiger. All 6 figures I have reviewed. That line has already been reviewed, so you can go check those videos out if you wish. And here's Series 2, including Wave Rider Coco Bandicoot, High Flying Crash Bandicoot, Deep Dive Crash Bandicoot, Dr. Engine, Dingadile, Dr. Entropy, and Moto Crash and Coco 2-pack. Most of these I have already reviewed. In fact, Dingadile, I finished filming it hours ago, but it should have uploaded yesterday, hopefully. But anyway, I have all five of these figures. Entropy I am filming right now, obviously. And then this one I don't have. Maybe one day I'll have it, but it's probably never going to happen. But hopefully one day I'll have it. We'll see. But other than this duo pack, I have everything here, and a video has been made for each figure if you want to check it out. And yeah, there's the packaging. Now we shall take a look at everything this figure has to offer. So first up, we have the black gem, which doesn't actually exist in the game, but I do remember seeing mods where people have different colored gems in the PS1 style games, and black was one of the colors. Like, I know there's like light blue, like a lot of colors. I can't remember exactly which ones, but still. You could even say this is like in Crash Bandicoot 2 with the shaped slots for crystals and gems. This can be the empty gem slot. You could say it's for that. Or even in Tag Team Racing with the black gems in that game, you could argue it's that. Or maybe it's some sort of glitched version or cheat code variant of the gem. I don't know. But I would have much preferred a yellow gem or a green gem over this. I think it's a bit of an odd choice, but a new exclusive accessory is a new exclusive accessory. And of course, you can see the bubble, and you got the edges, like all the other gems, or many of them, and even the crystals, of course. And I think it also makes sense because Cortex has the black crystal, and he's the main villain of like Crash Bandicoot 2 and the wave of Series 1. While this wave has Uka Uka and Entropy, who are most villainous characters in the game, other than Cortex, because Cortex isn't in this wave, and yeah, Uka is with that, and you get the idea. Then we have, actually, before I do that, let me show you the base. Unlike the other bases, this actually has the peg hole on the H instead, on the right side, and of course, it's got the blue and green color scheme all throughout. Which makes sense because when you look at Entropy with where he stands, I think it could have worked on this side, but I don't know. I guess they wanted this figure to be more special and unique, so they did that. Or maybe it was meant to be a villain thing, but then they realized that 2 of the 3 villains can stand on their own. Because if you saw the reviews for Ding It Out and Engine, you would know that they didn't include stands because they didn't need them. In the case of Engine, he had his own rocket sled that could do the job. And then Dingadile was a big chunky boy with big legs. They didn't need it. And then there's Entropy that has neither. So he didn't have an excuse, so they gave him this. Let me just get this off. But yeah, you can see he has 2 slots on his feet where you can put this either way. As I just showed, Entropy doesn't stand that well on his own, even when he's on the base. And even you really need his tuning fork to help him do it, honestly. At least for me. And whenever I saw him, I usually have him up against a wall. And then we get to the tuning fork of the figure, which is classic PS1 style, very triangular and blocky. It's like, they took the translation of this thing quite literally, but I love that they did that. It's just really charming. A very cool chrome color as well, and it really strikes me as hollow plastic. Like, it's very light and hollow, which for this series is a little odd, but I can live with it. And if you can see here, the paint on his glove really does chip bad on this, so be warned. And then there's one accessory I also have, but I'm saving that up till last, and I think you'll all know exactly why. So here's Dr. Nefarious Tropy himself. So, as I said before, he does not do a good job standing up. In fact, you really do need to have him lean up against a wall. Bandicoot Collector, or Captain Old Yoda, has made a video showing how he can stand up, as well as Engine and Cortex with the black legs. So go check that video out if you have this figure and are struggling to get him to stand up organically. But anyway, here's the figure. In the game, the colors of his shoes and glove on this side are brown with black stripes, but they inverted it for some reason, which maybe it's because it would look less. I don't know why, but maybe it's something to do with the plastic or a mistake. I don't care. In fact, I like it this way as much, but I felt the need to point it out. And for some reason, his knees protrude. I don't know why. I think Entropy's knees have erections. They get boners somehow. Maybe that's why. I don't know how knees get boners, erections, and how they feel hard and horny and all that, but I guess knees on this guy can do that. And he has 8 points of articulation. His tuning fork can move, which mine can't at the moment, but trust me, it does. And then his head moves, and then the pistons on the back move as well. And then his arms are on a ball joint on both sides, if I can show you. And then his gloves move on both sides. And then it's hard to show it with one hand, but his waist also moves. Again, mine's tight, but trust me, I've been able to do it before. Okay, yeah. Yeah. So, he has 8 points of articulation, which is pretty good. And this guy is also very thin and fragile, and because of that, he's one of the most expensive figures to get. In fact, generally, he's the second hardest figure to get besides the Moto, Crash, and Coco Duo pack. But for me, I'd say Engine is the second hardest, and then Entropy. But still. And yeah, there's a lot of chrome paint, which is cool, and there's sort of not bronze paint, but sort of brownish bronze color, which looks cool on both his hat and chest, and even on, like, this glove and all that. And this glove seems to be wired because it has a clock on it, because he maybe uses that as a watch or to go through time and all that. Like, a lot of gears and mechanisms in place, and this giant pipe that comes over here with the steampunk function here, which looks really cool. My beard is chipping a bit in paint, but I am going to paint it in black, don't worry. Pretty cool, very Jafar-like, because I feel like this character was inspired by Jafar design-wise. He has a green clock here and his wrist, and then he has a sticker on front, which is in yellow, which is cool. I custom-made this sticker, by the way, just got some paper, used some textures and pencils and the black pen, and then put tape over it to make it look shiny and more durable, which is cool. And I don't know if I've said this before, but the tuning fork on top of his head, you have to put in him, because when you get him brand new in the box, yeah, it's separate, and then you can put him back in. And when you put it in, it's pretty secure, like Kimono Moto, and like if you really want to, you can move it. So yeah, it just connects like so. And then if you want to, yeah, again, this figure is fragile as hell. And you got this lab coat design and all that. Yeah, and like a lot of 90s figures had a lot of gimmicks. And in case of Entropy, he has this as his gimmick, which looks really cool. And surprisingly, the paint on this is durable, which is more than I can say for a lot of other paint in really any of these figures. So that's cool. And it's actually accurate to the game, because like if you see in cutscenes or in-game, they move. Like he needs this to stay alive or in the time period, which is really cool. Yep. And when I tried gluing this sticker on, I should mention that it does peel a bit. And I'm still trying to keep it on there. And you can also see where the seam is on this figure, where they glued, which is really not good. They could have done better. But when you do open up, you'll see how this toy gimmick works with this. It's supposed to be a seesaw function. Like, one goes up, one goes down, and vice versa. I always try to get it in the middle, personally. And pretty much everything in this figure hinges on the torso. Like, if that breaks, everything breaks. Like, the head comes off, the arms come off, and then, like, the lab coat and legs come off. And by the way, the legs don't move for some reason, which for this figure is a bit weird, but I guess he's fragile enough so I can let slide that fact. And yeah, very spaghetti-like fingers on this guy as well. Very claw-like, which is cool. And the chip on this hand is, like, really bad. Like, a good chunk of the black paint is gone on this figure, and I really do not appreciate that. Again, I got this secondhand, so what do I expect, but still. But I will say the chrome paint does hold decently well as the bronze paint. It's just the seam on here isn't very good. Yeah. So that's the face, and I think they did a great job translating this character, even if there are minor inaccuracies. When you get him standing up with the tuning fork, he looks really cool, actually. I will say that. And, like, it is a little bit of a struggle to put Entropy's tuning fork in there, but it's not that hard. The only real issue is the paint, but because black paint is not hard to put in fact, it's probably the easiest paint to apply on these figures. It's not the end of the world, and this really does help make him stand better, from my experience. And yeah, I usually have him standing this way, and you can have him, like, post this way, so, like, when you have the different attacks, that's pretty cool. Like, when he has the balls and sorry, I knocked the camera, and the energy waves, that's actually really cool. And you can, like, recreate a lot of poses this way. I have him this way, because this is the way... God damn it. I'm surprised he did not break there, but... Yeah, you're supposed to have him hold it this way because of how the hand is positioned. You can try having him hold it the other way, but I personally wouldn't. Or at least not right now on camera. And he also strikes me as a very tall figure. In fact, without the tuning fork on his head, he is the second tallest figure in the line, only behind Tiny. And even then, that's probably only because of the spikes. I mean, I think with the hat, he's just about smaller than Tiny, but with the hat, he's taller than Tiny without the spikes, but smaller with his spikes. And then with this tuning fork on his head, he's taller than Tiny even with the spikes in mind. Even though he's much thinner, so even though he's the tallest character, he's a lot thinner and lankier than Tiny or even any of the mutant villains. Like, this guy towers over everyone else height-wise, and Tiny is probably the only character that I would say can go toe-to-toe. Maybe Dingodile with the backpack, but that's it. But it makes sense. Like, he's the tallest of everyone, let alone the scientists, who are the smallest characters with Engine and Cortex. So here he is with the gem, and here he is with Uka Uka, and I didn't forget him because I purposely left him till last. So here's Uka Uka, who technically has 2 points of articulation with this bone and then this bone. This one I can get in place pretty well, but this one kind of struggles, admittedly. I sort of have him usually pose like this on the floor, and then this one doesn't move. He strikes me as a really large mask, which makes sense. He is dominant, and here he is next to Entropy. Even then, he's quite striking. And on the back, he has a negative print of Cortex's face. So if you're not concerned with paint, you can actually have him wear it. Makes sense why he came with Entropy, because they were both introduced in the opening cutscene. And if he wasn't to be with Cortex, who would he be with? Come on, we all know it would be Entropy. Because, like, in Entrance, the second GBA game, Entropy is the one that takes charge when he gives up on Cortex, like when he fires him, essentially. And again, in Warped, with the final cutscene, a secret ending, like, it's Entropy alongside Cortex that's trapped in another dimension and all that. So, yeah. And it makes sense, Cortex has a lot of accessories and decently big ones, while Entropy doesn't have many. Other than a tuning fork, he has like a gem and base and that's it, so it makes sense to give him Uka Uka, and because Aku appeared as an accessory, you may as well make Uka Uka an accessory, and because of his prominence, I decided to have Uka Uka be featured last, and you could really argue he's also the main villain of Warped, not Cortex or even Entropy. In my opinion, Warped's main villain is Uka Uka. But yeah, and I really like the paint that's on the bones, sort of a creamy white with a hint of yellow. The stripe on him is inaccurate. It's meant to be a yellow in a game, but I can overlook it. It's a minor detail, and they really got it down with the beard, the ruby, big, thick lips, that almost like he's been stung by a bee, and those chipped teeth, and green around the eyes, and very black wood, which is cool. So yeah, let me get some things to compare him to. So here's the size comparison between Aku and Uka Uka. And yeah, he really strikes me as being significantly bigger, which makes sense, but I don't know if he should be that much bigger. I mean, Crash has a relatively small face, and Aku just sits on the nose, while Uka Uka eats up the entirety of Cortex's face. Speaking of which, I did bring in Cortex for a test to see what he looks like with Uka Uka on. So here's what he looks like with Cortex wearing him. Yeah, he's really big. In fact, he's almost as big as Cortex, although my Cortex is having trouble standing up, and I do need to fix his legs so he can actually stand properly, but yeah, granted, Cortex is still taller, but still. But yeah, that's kind of what he looks like. And also, again, with Aku, with the feathers, he's almost as tall, but only with the feathers. I feel like they could still be a little more evenly matched and all that. And I think character head-wise might do, because Cortex's face is completely eaten up by Uka because his face is flat, while because he's a human, and then Crash is a marsupial animal, and so Aku just sits on the nose and all that, so that's why. Yeah. And here he is. Yeah, some of the paint does chip a bit, so be wary. And at least for this run through, Cortex's face doesn't actually look too bad when it comes to being exposed. Like, maybe a little bit of a clean, but I was expecting much worse. I'm sure with future attempts of him wearing Uka Uka, he's going to look a lot worse, but still. But yeah, that's all I have to say on the figures. You could almost say it's an Entropy and Uka Uka figure review, because this is the only time he appears as opposed to Aku, and if not for Uka Uka, I doubt Aku would be nearly as prominent in the series. He wouldn't even be a proper character if not for Uka Uka, like him being created and all that, but this is still marketed as Entropy, and if I'm not gonna label Aku, I want to be fair and not bother with Uka Uka either. But anyway, yeah, that's all I have to say on this figure. So if I'm going by the official lineup, this is the penultimate figure I have reviewed. The final figure or figures is the Moto / Biker Crash and Coco in Warped with the motorbike levels. So I could do those videos, but the likelihood of them happening is very slim to none, because not only are they really expensive, but they're also really rare. Like, I can't find any right now, not even for ridiculous prices, so who knows if that will ever happen. But that's alright. Will this be the end of the series? Maybe, maybe not. Like, I might do one more video showing off the entire collection with everyone all fixed up, or I might even do showcases of VD Vortex's custom Crash Bandicoot action figures, because he has made a lot of characters that Resaurus planned for a Series 3, but they never got around to, like Ripperoo, Pinstripe, Embryo, etc. And even other characters or even enemies that they never planned but were in the original trilogy and PS1 era of Crash Bandicoot, so they have made some of them, or they're in the process of making them, but stay tuned for that, albeit no promises. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all later.